Thank you very much. Sort of extraordinary. Day 1 set the tone with its electric energy, and day 2, it's all about building connections, from investors sharing their insights to our amazing success and beginning planted right here. But today, and prepare for what comes next. Whether it's scaling your execution and turning those dreams into reality. Before we dive into today's event, let's take International Startup Festival 2024. And to begin, invite Dr. D. Nageshwar Reddy, the Chairman, AIG Hospital, Gupta, Founder and Group CEO, Ecosystem Group Chairman, Thai Global. Please give a huge round of applause for our first ISF speakers.
Stitch my neck. Then I'm on the panel discussion.
But I'm not presenting just so I don't miss any
Good morning, everybody. Outset, I'm extremely grateful to Chaudhary Garu for giving me this opportunity, creating such an environment here, which I think is very unique. And I think we have an extremely bright future looking at the quality of, say, doctors in medical healthcare process. I think the most important area is going to be artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence doesn't require a big capital to develop. All over the world, and is going to create not only many startups, but is going to completely change the way we Gachbauli. And I should start first with a disclosure. I'm very basic in this, but I use, for example, ChatGPT for daily medical practice now, and I'll show you. In healthcare, the patient care, if you actually look at traditionally what happens, this is a very old painting of it. It doesn't have magic pills, doesn't have any CT. Yet, the way he's empathetically looking at the patient made this painted. In medicine, we are taught for many, many years, it's clinical examination, investigation, interpretation, and treatment. The artificial intelligence has extremely small role to play, as we used to think a few years back in this area. In fact, in 1970s came machine learning, and little later, of course, came the deep learning. Surgeons like Ravi, this computer vision which is actually looking at the lesion, giving us the diagnosis, image recognition, saying, put together, artificial intelligence is going to make a huge difference in how. Yeah. And put this, can you tell me where all AI can be used, because I'm going to face a large group. So you take a group of tests and say that this patient is likely to develop a cancer or this or that. So it's predictive. It's getting into robbery health and so on. I'll show you some of the examples here. And it's believed that AI will have impact at 3 levels. For the clinician, as a doctor, currently be somebody empowered with AI who will replace a normal doctor. So an AI-empowered doctor in a few years is going to repair and get all these tests done, get everything together, to go to a physician who will certify it's safe. And our AI engineers do what is called the spaghetti diagram of how these patients were touching different points. We put all these services into one area. So we created a single tower of PSE, and now we found that the take-up for surgery is 99%. From 80%. So many other things, supply chain optimization, integration of care across providers, all this can be done by AI. But for the patient is important. Now he comes after surgery and says, I'm passing 2 or 3 stools, what should I do? It's fed with all the data and comes up with the answers. And the patients are extremely satisfied with this, that they don't actually. Early disease diagnosis. Seattle, along with Bill Gates, has established Predictive Medicine Institute. Calls of patients coming with different diseases. A particular disease, for example, like hepatitis, analyzed. This is another area where predictive medicine, in fact, we can actually look at the patient's genomics, estimation of all the genes, the composition. We have machines now which are extremely good at this, and I can tell you, for example, that if you drink alcohol, you're likely to get pancreatitis. Some people are likely to do this based upon your genetic profile. So this predictive medicine and genomic medicine is going to become very important now in future. Very good electronic medical records, EMRs, and hospital information systems, which then take in every data point in every patient coming into hospital is now captured in EMRs. And based on this, we can use this patient data for several types of, that a computer and artificial intelligence system cannot make a clinical decision of what to do in a particular patient. But this is changing. What should I do? I get the collective opinions of not just 20 doctors, but 2,000. And it can predict outcomes in many of these patients very well. So all these are, I think, things that we can. So these are the 4 pillars of what, which using AI, the first diagnosis was skin cancer, of that variety of skin cancer. Whereas all the big dermatologists miss this. And this neural network identifying skin cancer, click and say what is the diagnosis, it will give the diagnosis of the skin condition. That's how far it's going, because it's so easy. Put in endoscopies, watch lesions. I'm struggling to say, is this an early cancer in the stomach? That this small lump you see is a very, very early cancer, which I would have missed otherwise. So you don't require any instrumentations and so on. So this is how AI is. And pancreatic cancer, it's not operable or not curable. We went back, he's getting CT scans done last 3 years in a hospital. We went back, or radiologists can do. So I think AI is going to, that when you actually look back, there's a small arrhythmia there. We correlate, you're having, at that point, the patient is having little wine, having too much wine. Your heart is becoming irregular, kindly change, stop. Future, we already have it. In fact, Apple is very strongly working on several of these models. To put AI, it is very easy to say why this is abnormal, what you should do to prevent, say, a potential heart attack and so on. And this, in some of the systems where we're using this way, a patient in an intensive care unit is being monitored, cardiac monitoring done. Alone for 3 minutes time, the patient can develop cerebral ischemia, brain death. But AI is detecting this, and the patient also has another syringe. AI instructs this syringe to be pushed into the happening. So this is something which is again going to come very next few years, and part of it will health monitors is the next generation healthcare, as we say. The problem is that I think have what is called good bedside manners, and the fear was that artificial intelligence in many papers also. A recent study showed that when the patient called back to the hospital, it was a randomized trial where so the last advantage we had as doctors is gone. This has become standard now. Many very advanced wellness clinics are starting to use this. They take your basic data, that sleeping pattern, amount of sleep changes from person to person. For some people it's 12 to 6, which is better. So all this can be mapped out in AI. How much exercise, whether you should do a morning exercise, give me a day to do that. But with AI, in few minutes time, the lab interpretation, you have a disease of hepatorenal syndrome. I get the diagnosis immediately. I don't have to go through all the things. And of course, for treatment, AI is going to analytics is projected to yield about $300 to $450 billion just in US alone. The first important thing for AI is pure data. The data that we generate many times in many of our hospitals are very important because we don't have proper regulatory bodies in our country. Not only in our country, all over the world, this is a dilemma now, sir. So the patient sued the hospital saying the doctor missed. The doctor said you can sue. Finally, of course, they put the blame on the hospital and the doctor, and the AI was paid. But these regulatory things are going to become important. Whom do you blame? The plane, the pilot, or the AI system? So this in medicine is going to be a big dilemma now. And also, Institute of Sciences was hacked by, we think, a foreign country, we don't know where, and all the health records of all. And what has happened is that we are now controlling. For example, this is another example that happened, that the Russians hacked into the ventilator, and they control. So this can happen. So medicine is a dangerous area, and you see how there are pros and cons of using AI. Unnecessary hospital visits are cut down, but there are also some concerns. 3 years back, if somebody came and told me, administrator, that you should use this AI methodology in hospital, I would have been against it. It's also going to be another problem for adaptability. There's a concern, actually discussing with Mr. Chowdhury just recently, that for us, the major advantage we have in this country is the data. Can you imagine? No other country can have this except China probably, and this data is a strength. If it's a pure data, integrated, put into AI, is the future. I think for any startups, this is going to be. So the first century was steam power, intelligent, the one most responsive to change. In telling you, don't take NH19, it's packed now, take another road. And in 2019, it's been replaced by drones. As 10 years later, replaced by drones. As you don't adapt to AI, especially in healthcare. So that's the reason why at the Asian Institute of Gastroenterology we started this. In next 5 years, the practice of medicine is going to dramatically change. And the
No.
Good morning to all of you. Dr. Nageshwar Reddy Garu for the last, sir, more than 30 years. When you were in Medinova, I used to come to you, eat a lot of spices. Maybe that was the reason. But I used to go regularly visit him when he was, never used to prescribe any medicines and all that. The stethoscope used to check up, and he used to tell me you have to do a little bit of exercise. I can hack, and that may result in what all is going to I think if that scare is there, sir, if do you think that that's going to happen, the way things are, yeah, make sure that those
thank you. I think this is a very important question. It's those patients whom the doctor has touched who recover faster than those who have not been seen. Can be sympathetic or empathetic to the patient, but can never replace the human touch. I think there's some bond between the doctor.
So he's investing a lot of money in the healthcare and all that. I see there's a lot of future for the startups that we can do in a structured way, so that taking the entire globe, there you can create not just unicorns, maybe decacons, because everybody needs better healthcare. Is that
And talk to each other. That is changing now. I think engineers and doctors are getting together. I think new ideas coming up. Similarly, at AIG, what we did was we started, this is Aruk, now set up a combined groups with IIT, Triple IT, there's doctors, engineers, and what we found very surprising is the ignorance that doctors have about engineering and the ignorance that engineers have about medical, which we never knew could come up, and very simple things which, so all this, the innovations and all we get from West.
Thank you, Doctor. Actually, sir, I want to propose a committee under the request you to be the chair for that committee, and also I request all our doctors who are sitting in the front row, Dr. Srinivas. We want to form one ISF healthcare startup thing, maybe we take this opportunity so that we can help. There are a lot of investors, Dr. Garu, they want to invest.
I'll certainly be glad to be part, and there's so many leaders here also, doctors. I think we'll all come together, and what we can create is...
Thanks. Was at a stage where it was not commercially useful, but the kind of application and the kind of question that there is going to be a lot of...
Decision becomes very important because you're dealing with the patient's life. One wrong decision taking based upon the data, pure, I think is a contaminated data which is not cleaned up, which is the data. Unless you have, so there's so much of biological variability, and one of the arguments we hear against engineering systems or AI coming into medicine, you can decrease this mistake. You can't make it zero, but you can decrease the mistakes. So I think it's a very important. These three things can be done best in our country because of the largeness of data that we have. We can actually create this. Whereas in US, for example, directors here, cancer will see about 1,000 times the number of patients. So, but if that data is collected, then you can imagine actually mine this data to create products which are going to be very pure. So I think once I put it up that we have to be very careful in evaluating all the data completely.
Thanks a lot. And on this regard, I do want to partner with...
My name is Guna Mupuri. I'm a physician from Jamaica, West Indies. I'm here to speak on the roundtable. The university has collaborated with the University of Alabama, Birmingham in the United States. The two universities collaborated. One and only daughter, Meghna, she's a physician. She became the first cohort of students in the world to get educated in AI and medicine. Sir, you met her in Jamaica the other day when we all came. Meghna, please take her. I will give. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's also very important, that what we require a large infusion of young, smart people into this, because they are really very much. So we require this group of people. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
Take two more questions.
No.
I have been getting treated for the last 2 years there, and it's been so thank you for everything you've done. The question I had is, if you look at the data sets that are generally available in India, a set of 50 patients for cancer that has, everything related to them.
This is very important, that the data sets that we get in should be very pure. All the data would become very important, because if I can get 10 data points of different things from the families, I can actually predict that this is found. So I think it becomes very important that we start gathering this data, and we have large numbers, as you rightly
whole thing. So just to ask, this is where in Germany we already did from Fraunhofer something big here, the great data and the pure data. They have the pure data, but the problem is GDPR compliance. Collaborate, bring the technology, say, hey, here is something we can comply with the GDPR, which type of...
He was not aware at all. He didn't realize that AI requires certain regulatory things, and start thinking about it, because even in West
was giving medicines, I tried to do my best, and I hope my mentor predicted. And how we can take this to the European Union? What is that in terms of the compliances, other nuances that...
Now, the felicitation by Dr. Jay Chaudhary Garu. Please give a huge round of applause.
These are the byproducts that I showed you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Dr. K. Hari Prasad Garu, Group Chairman, Quality Care India. Dr. Ravindranath Kumar, Indo-American Cancer Hospital. Dr. Guna S. Mupuri, welcome onto the dais, sir. Dr. and CEO, Semantic Bits. Dr. Vishwanath Duput, the Group Chairman, Quality Care India, who is the chair of this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and care in a very nice manner, in a detailed manner. So I don't think there's any dispute in terms, instead of going into the details of the benefits or the applications or the use of AI in healthcare, we have some of the solutions for these challenges. And some of the challenges are the data. It's the first challenge. The second challenge is the ethics. The third challenge is really the data privacy. Help, how can collaborations help, and what is to be done to make sure that we maximize the challenges, and also talk a minute about the solution that they feel will.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to, well, I think we are now Global Innovation Hub. We're doing some innovations using AI and all. Biggest challenge setting up some health exchange on a data to anonymize the data and work with some of the data, good quality data, and many other things are missing, like or previous histories. Many things are missing. Many of them, even if you want, you know, the doctors have the worst handwriting. That's a big challenge. And no matter what computers and all, I see, at least prospectively, every hospital should take it seriously on data collection. An important role, as whether we are in it or we are out of it. One of the two challenge we have. I think the Data Privacy Act, I'm hearing that recently there is a lot of stringent rules on that. There is a lot of doubt about what is very important for using the data, according to the recent Data Privacy Act. If that is the case, I don't think we have to take a big area to improve the healthcare, not only its efficiency and predictability and precision and personalized medicine and precision medicine. And again, now we are coming to use it for analytics. There is huge computing power is required, storage required. All these challenges we need to address. So I think with this brief, I will
that we in India are coming up with this Data Privacy Act, which is passed, and if anybody is aware of the act and if they've got some insights into it, what could be the rules, how would it help? I mean, a lot of these acts which roadblocks for development, roadblocks for implementation and innovation. So is there something which forming rules which will facilitate the use of data in a proper manner?
Important thing on the data collection. At this time, data that is available is only few centers of excellence in an isolated way. The data that is collected, many of the publications that go from this country are perceived, seen with a lot of suspicion. Because if you to be wrong. So my suggestion there is that it got to be some kind of compulsory that all the 10% of them comply with the regulation, and you can't just say that this is capture that data. That unfortunately at this time at a very early on the AI side, I think there is a huge gap between the technology industry. In this country, an engineer makes a table. When surgeon comes to operate, it is no way close to his usage. Whereas elsewhere, there is a close relation, close build up all that robust information and then quality products. Third is the adaptability. Vast majority, for example, I face a lot of problem in telling doctors to go for electronic medical records. There is so much, and inadequate outcome is less respectable kind of information.
Thank you. We have somebody who is just donated his daughter to competition right now.
It's not a competition. I need to tell the audience and all the youngest of the cohort here, because my senior colleague is here. Then my senior colleague is there. He follows him and I follow him. Not the clinical therapeutics, because I moved away from mainstream medicine. I got enlightened that we are going back to brick and mortar, the same school. What he studied, and we all studied. So I call it as the Tesla of the Caribbean and Central American medical schools, because they lose their real character. What we need to preserve is the real character for going to be using the headgears with an immersive experience. Each lens costs me first virtual dissection table, the size of a dining table, is an iPad. You can peel from the skin to the bone in a fraction. I want to bring this kind of awareness in India. I was here in July. I was with children going to other countries and getting some degree. No, we don't want some degree. So we're going to do something from the Caribbean into India. That's what I'm working on now. That's why I would like to associate with all the experts here. Let's establish Canadian Medical College has produced the data. They needed 29,000 doctors over the next 10 years. But after that's going to drive this market. This is where we're into the integration of technology and all these things. This is where I want to speak, emphasis about my own. My friend and the Deputy Dean of Medicine, Dr. Rubin Pillai, a fourth generation Indian from Madurai. He collaborated with the Maastricht University in Netherlands.
And Chaudhary Garu, I need to go somewhere else because there's some other event.
Would you like to add your perspective on the...
Sure, as a physician, essentially. And I'm sorry to sound a little bit pessimistic, and before I... that I'm a big fan of AI and I am a big user of AI. I'm using some tools to develop AI models. But having said that, decision support system which Dr. Nagesh Reddy Garu so most of the models will be Western models unless we develop our own. And how do we develop our own? We need to include our own set on that. Where do we get data from? The village? They could be sitting in a town. They could be sitting in a hospital. They have no time to enter data electronically except scribble. Patient. If the patient volunteers himself to give data to someone, disruption in data capture. Number one. Number two. From big hospitals like AIG, Apollo, CARE and other global hospitals, which is nice. But what about 70-80% of patients are going there? So I think we need to integrate them into the mainstream, and only then to healthcare for a lot of rural, healthcare startups to look at rural India. If you can go to healthcare, to rural areas, because you will be the only one offering some value to, AI is one bit, but we still are importing a large number of healthcare technologies. And less than 100 districts have a linear accelerator. A person who is diagnosed with cancer, 60 to 65% of those require radiation therapy, and they have to travel to another district or another city to go for this particular treatment for cancer. A big burden on families to come out of their own locations, homes, to visit other places to go for the... Unfortunately, is of course, looking at many, many aspects. And government imposes nearly 30 to 40% import duty on all these equipments. And unfortunately, we are not making to ensure that we could reduce the my suggestions and challenges.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas. Would you like to?
Important. More than data, I just thought that typically in India, and busier. It's not that the other way, because 10 years experience, you become 10% busier. This is not only in one specialty, it happens in every specialty. Suggestion of AI or product development, we have to invest time. This is most important. It's not possible for all the doctors in India. Words is, if Dr. A, Dr. B, Dr. C, some patients, so that we can give more time to that doctor and their pattern recognition or the diagnostic still is important. But as a foundation for the future doctors, we can help through this. What is that? We have data from electronic medical record. I completely agree. We are looking at the prediction pattern of 3 lakh children with myopia. Over 10 years, we have a data. To repair that data or clean up that data, it took 6 months, 10 years. Now, AI is nothing but tech. All these things are very important. So, finally, I think AI is going to be there. But we have to go through these challenges and come out. It's good. More and more people talk about it, and don't take that shortcut. Work with the scientists and data scientists. They will make the job easy. More and more startup, both in AI as well as technology development, if we work together, Mr. Chaudhary Garu said, we can have this in each of those specialties. I am talking about one tiny. This is where I think our country should go. More and more these examples we need to speak and implement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramesh. Country which adopted AI and discovery, everything. It is the L.V. Prasad Eye Institute in the country. And institution, I was on the board for 8 years in the L.V. Prasad. I think after one more gentleman, we'll have a discussion on AI and technologies and healthcare. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I work at a science park where non-invasive detection and AI-based methods can make a great influence. I will talk about 2-3 examples. Center. So what this does is, just based on the visual perimeter, how the kid is recognizing. I'm talking about, pediatric population. A 3-month baby brain development can be directly correlated and detected, and they have done tested in L.V. Prasad, Visakhapatnam, and multiple. Amazing, more than 95% of accuracy. So my suggestion to all the engineers and doctors who are working in this, yes, there are problems. All these regulatory problems, what we are seeing is opportunity, and the regulator is trying to de-risk all your risk. A doctor or an engineer developing that. Another example, again, L.V. Prasad Institute helped the engineers who developed this solution. This is called Logi.ai. Do like a 200 patients in a camp, and now they are able to do 500. And the good thing is, these engineers are getting paid even by the state government. There is always a, the government was very happy because they are seeing the follow-up engagement and all the, for last 7 to 8 years, much before all the AI and, this came. Another company is again BrainSight AI. Again, amazing engineers and research.
After all of them speak, we realize that there is so much opportunity in healthcare and we can do that in India very well at a lower cost. In fact, that is one of the reasons why I started Global Innovation Hub, where we're doing some of them. When we talk to some of our and take them to the, because we have data, if we have a data, we can easily commercialize them. IIITs and University of Science and everybody for the last 2 years. identify. Now, I think after exhibition, hospitals are also willing to work with all of you, all the young engineers, and democratize healthcare. We can bring down the cost of health. So that is the only way healthcare can be democratized. And we can all work together and as what we know.
I noticed, in fact, the other Dr. Hariprasad also mentioned RMP doctors. Whatever they say, that's a dictum for them. I mean, they just follow innovation hub, what you have started. Can we create some kind of a easing this problem, and these are the whatever the local tests and all that? Immediately you should say that these are the things with you. So is there any way that we can help the rural patients through some?
We are working on a model, primary care, where a lot of work is done by AI and basic doctor. It's easier to monitor some of these patients once we have diagnosis. There is a lot of work to be done in that area. We have started that, creating even from a bot will interact and all the data will be collected. The previous data also is retrieved, and the doctor needs to spend a quality time with only the patient in the clinic. So that we are working on something. From the time emergency ambulances do on the way, it will be connected to the hospitals, so that we don't lose the goal.
Committee, whatever we have formed, can we take up this as a one startup can be incubated, we can get the funding and see that in a very, solve this and keep on upgrading it so that all the people in different states also will be benefited. Otherwise, they're losing their lives, doctor. I think in the interest of those people, let us take this as a first problem under our ISF committee, and we'll provide a comprehensive solution. Maybe we'll get some.
Along with ISF, yeah. I'll be happy. I'll talk to our team and. There are many venture studios in the country who are willing to work with all of you. I have a good idea, help you or ourselves, or we can put you to many other people, or through ISF we can have
people in this country do not have access to decent health care, and they are compelled here a while ago, but unfortunately for various reasons it didn't take off all that well. But COVID-19, it is a well-established entity now that you can give a decent medical advice remotely, because in this country there is no system like primary, secondary, tertiary care. Many of your patients go to below poverty line, and something like 60 to 70% of patients in this country pay from the center. The hospital and the doctors would do everything that is available. Doctors. So that's one thing that we desperately need, and we can certainly lead and whole
the rural area, that gap between the rural and urban divide, we want to close that. ABBA is doing a lot of good work. I think if that helps data companies to 20 rupees per, I know we are all restless and we are all in a hurry that everything should happen overnight. I think there is a tremendous growth in healthcare delivery anywhere in the world. 1/10 cost you will get it in India. In 10 years, our economy grows double or triple. That is the way. That's where you will have enough. We need to keep debating and disrupt.
Provoking suggestion. This is where my headspace is to add, to give some validation. You have so many gadgets that have come. Many of them they have at home glucometers. More we can do with your initiative through ISF. We can create those kind of dots with a finger touch. It can also record your ECGs. So that ECG will tell you whether you are happy. I mean, you have this one with the AI or the intelligence and the technology. Such a way that these nodal points must have a nurse, a public health worker in those villages every village must have a center, like the Grama Sachivalayam, like an early stage of a heart attack. Just give him 4 aspirin tablets, give him 1 clopidogrel or 4 will bring to the center of excellences, like the bigger centers and the bigger institutions.
We are late. Any 1 or 2 questions, quick questions, please?
Side of AI, we are exactly on that path. We created a virtual patient of a human body for anatomy. And when you bought, sir, to basically build a virtual patient that helps medical students to, we go up and try to convince them to integrate it into the curriculum.
Again, I want to emphasize on a strong foundation, basics are extraordinarily expensive, and an average of 1 crore, $250,000. But I will suggest you to go to this top for your product, and that's how you penetrate the market.
Thank you.
If anybody has got 1 more.
Ability of healthcare and services to reach to the common man. I'm very happy, Dr. Ramesh, one of the area interventions which actually used to get combined with what was previously done by that in our Satyam days, I'm talking about 2000 plus, with Dr. U. Balaji, you would be at that time was social entrepreneurship as well as impact rather than commercialization. My suggestion to all of us is that if we could use many of our AI tools that are now available to us to actually give us some trends.
We're running out of time.
Right. So there are 2 parts of this. My second part is basically something for all of you. That data has now got integrated into your smartwatches and your phones. So lose sight of our rearview mirror and learn from our experience and history is my suggestion to the August panel over here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very in-house doctors there. There are vision technicians there. And for difficult cases, they take the picture and then connect to the telecommand center, and then we provide a thing. With that, what has happened is we know
in our country, any specialty has, it is L.V. Prasad created that. And I think cancer, we can do that at least in...
At a foundation.
There has been one man who has been doing this relentlessly and selflessly, is Sri J. Chaudhary Garu. I do not know. Think about this gentleman deserves a Padma Vibhushan. Can we initiate a campaign that next year we need to get this for him? Sir, you need...
It's time to continue with the most. I would like to invite Mr. Amit Gupta, founder and group CEO, member of Agribusiness Management Committee, ITC Limited. On behalf of Team International Startup Foundation, we would like to invite
process after the wonderful session, very inspiring thoughts and health tech innovation, but I have a job to do. I was given a topic to talk on, so I'll stick to that. But excited you, it scared you, but also maybe made you feel like life is measured in achievement, not in years alone. How many here like cars? How many here know about McLaren's fastest race car? At the age of 32, he had already built the world's fastest automotive. So let me start with my personal journey. I actually come from this. He met my mother in medical school, where my mother was the youngest. I don't think I want to pursue medicine.